What is the debt cash flow index method? Now, this is a method that I hadn't even heard about until just recently. Last couple of years, I found out about it. I'd heard about the debt snowball, the debt avalanche, negotiation, learned about consolidation, several other things, but never heard of the cash flow index until I met a guy who ran what was called or is called the Wealth Factory. And he shared with me this cash flow index idea. I ended up actually just in the last few months meeting the OG inventor of the cash flow index method. So I've got some pretty cool insights to share with you. I may even have him on to discuss this in detail if you guys are interested in learning more about the cash flow index method. Now, I believe in having good cash flow. You have to have more money coming in than what's going out. You have to have a positive cash flow. The more cash flow, positive cash flow you have, the faster you're going to be able to accomplish your goals, whether that's getting out of debt, whether that's building savings, whether that's investing for the future. Basically, financial independence, retire early is saving more money than you're spending and having a significant percentage of your income be going towards savings. That's what's called a positive cash flow, building your financial future and financial dreams. So let's jump right in. I'm going to share with you the spreadsheet that I used or would use if I was sitting down with a client to share with them the fastest, most efficient way to get out of debt. Now, the cash flow index, because it frees up, it looks at which of the debts are going to give you the most cash flow first. And that's the debt you pay off first. And then you have more cash flow to be able to pay more down on the second debt. So it actually is kind of, in a way, it's similar to the avalanche in terms of its mathematical efficiency, but this is actually, instead of paying off the most interest first, you're paying off what's going to give you the most cash flow to tackle the next debt fastest. So let's jump into my spreadsheet because I'm going to actually go through each one of the last two strategies we've talked about. We're going to talk about this third strategy in my series of strategies on how to pay off debt. I'm actually going to be talking about three more strategies that I'm going to have, and I may have somebody come on as a special guest to share one of them, but there's actually 6 strategies, probably a lot more strategies out there, but I use 6 strategies when I sit down with people and talk to them about how do they want to get out of debt. There's no one right way, in my opinion, but there are strategies that are more efficient and effective based on certain scenarios. So let's take a look and see if we can see where this works. So this is my spreadsheet that I share with people. This is just a pretend set of creditors. When you want to get out of debt, the most important thing that you can do is you make a list of who you owe. That's your creditor. How much you owe them, which is the balance due. What's the minimum payment? What's the interest rate? And once you know that information, you can really dial in which of these 3 strategies is going to be best for you. There's a couple other strategies that we need to talk about later in other videos. But if you miss my video on the debt snowball, you can look up here in the corner and grab that. If you miss my video on the debt avalanche, you can, again, it's up in the corner. Go look up my videos on those strategies. But this one is the cash flow index strategy. So once you have your creditors listed, once you have the minimum payments listed and the balance due and the interest rate, you can take a look and see. Now, again, the debt snowball is pay off the smallest debt first to give you that psychological win, to give you that opportunity to say, I did it, I won, I paid this off. Debt avalanche is pay off the one with the highest interest rate first. Actually, sorry, I should be paying off the one with the highest interest rate first. That way you're paying the least amount of interest, which is the biggest bulk of the dilemma in paying off your debts. So if you want to pay off your debts quickly and pay the least amount of interest, the debt avalanche is the best. Now let's take a look at cash flow index. Cash flow index basically takes the amount that you owe. So here's how it takes the amount, the balance due divided by the minimum payment. So the minimum payment, then that will tell you an index. Now, the lower the number, the faster that's going to give you more cash flow to pay off the next debt. So what's interesting about the cash flow index is that you should reevaluate your debts on a regular basis. So every time, what happens with the cash flow index is every time you make a payment, the balance decreases, the minimum payment stays the same, or the amount of money that you want to pay stays the same. And actually the ratio of the interest of the cash flow index ratio actually changes. And once you hit the point where your cash flow is now your index, once it's under 50, now we need to start looking at that as a priority. So under 30 is a definite priority. So this personal loan right here, if you were using the cash flow index, this personal loan would be the first loan you paid off, because $200 into 5,000 is in 25 payments. Basically, you've got that thing paid off, and then you can take $200 and put it towards the next debt. Well, you would once the debt is paid off, my my strategy with my clients is that once a debt is paid off, let's reevaluate to see what's the next best debt to pay off. Is it the debt? Is it continuing with the snowball? Is it continuing with the avalanche? Or maybe we need to look at the cash flow index to see how much cash flow we need to free up to be able to pay that off more quickly and more efficiently. So that's why I use these three for sure when somebody has a good income and they feel like they have the discipline to pay off their debts. I will balance these three, and we will figure out we'll probably hybrid and figure out the best way to go. But the cash flow index teaches you that the lower the number here, the faster you're going to be able to free up more money. So here's an example. If you pay off this MasterCard, you only have $25 a month as your minimum payment. $25 plus $35. So let's use the debt snowball. Let's put this here. You pay off the $1,400 debt, you free up $25 in cash flow. Well, that's great. You paid off a debt, but it only frees up $25. So if you can free up 200, you're going to do a lot more damage to those debts because you're freeing up hundreds of dollars. That's why the cash flow index comes in clutch for you at that level. When you want to pay off even more, you're going to be able, but again, it's frustrating because you're like, man, I got to pay off a $5,000 debt. It's still low. It's still going to give you that ability to pay something off quickly, but it's going to do it where it's going to free up the most cash flow, and you're going to be able to roll more money. So it's actually kind of an accelerated snowball method, if you will, because it frees up more cash that you can put even more money to the next debt more quickly. So I highly recommend that the cash flow index be one of the strategies that you look at. Now, if you don't know how to calculate the cash flow index strategy, make sure you hit me up in the comments. I'll reiterate what it is. Rewind this video, watch it again. It's literally taking the total balance due divided by the minimum payment. And you do that for all of your debts, and then it will give you an index. The lowest number is the one you want to tackle first. If it's under 30 or 40, you definitely want to prioritize those. If it's over 30, 40, 50, yeah, maybe go to the snowball until you get, and then reevaluate after a debt is paid, or reevaluate after some of the balances are lower after a couple months of making payments, and see if that cash flow index doesn't put you down under 30 or 40. If you're under 20, for sure, high priority. If it's over 100, save that one to the last, or use one of the other debt strategies to be able to get out from underneath that debt. Comment below. Tell me, is this a new strategy you've never heard of, the cash flow index strategy, or have you heard of it before? Have you seen it around somewhere? If you haven't ever heard of the cash flow index, don't feel bad. I just learned about it myself. Again, comment below which of the three strategies that you feel like is the most efficient for your situation. The debt snowball, the debt avalanche, or the cash flow index. Make sure you're spending time every day building towards your massive bank account. We'll see you on the next video.